Drop it.
Good day to every one of us who are watching this video, as well as to our lovely teacher, Ma'am Judith Maganoy. By the way, I'm Chandra A. de las Reyes, the assigned demo teacher for this day. So, good day to all of you students. By the way, I'm Mr. Chandra A. de los Reyes, your teacher for today. So, before I will proceed to my lessons, I would ask first to any volunteer would lead us a prayer here in the front of our classroom. Oh, you may, Mr. Cristobal, you may go. I would check first your attendance if anyone is absent or every one of you is present, which I do every time when I enter in a classroom or in a lessons or in a discussions, every time to time. And also to monitor you guys if you are motivated to go in our school and enter in our class discussions every time we have a meeting. So I will call on first Miss Alfaro, Mr. Cristobal. So I hope this would be maintained. All of you is presence. So I would expect everyone would come to our lessons next meeting. So it gives me an energetic expressions for you guys. By the way, before I will tackling our lesson for today, I will show to you some of image, and I will ask for you for the describe and explain what do you think it is. So the first picture or photos I will share to you guys is this. So what do you call that lines from end of a circle to the other end that passes to the midpoint? Yes, Mr. Brian, what do you call that line? Yes, that's good. It is a diameter. So next, what do you call these photos or features that we have here? Yes, you're right, Mr. Reyes. This is a ruler. So anyone can describe what is the use of the ruler. Yes, you're right, Miss Alfaro. This is used to measure or to identify the length of a materials or anything that you want to measure. So next is this. What do you call these things that we can be found in our laboratories? Yes, you're right, Mr. Cristobal. This is a tools that we use in our daily laboratories or that we can be found in our laboratories, which has different functions as well as the uses. So next, before I will be tackling properly our discussions, I will share to you the learning objectives for these lessons. So at the end of the lesson, the student or you should have the intended learning to acquire and identify the parts of the Vernier caliper, as well as calculate precisely the measurements with the use of the Vernier caliper, and lastly, execute the proper way of measuring Vernier caliper with internal and external diameter, as well as the length and the depth of a workpiece. So I will proceed now properly to our discussions, but I have something rules for you in discussing my lessons, which it's very helpful for me and to you guys, so we can understand and we can easily have a proper and as well as flow of our discussions. So the rules uh, I would require for you guys is you need to pay attentions in my discussions as well as listens and also participate or ask questions if you do not understand our discussions. So I hope it would be okay, guys. So our lesson for today is a measurement tool. So the measurement tool that we have here is the Vernier caliper. So what do you think is the Vernier caliper, guys? Anyone? Do you have any idea? Miss Alvaro? Mr. Cristobal? Mr. Reyes, do you have any idea? Oh, you don't have any idea. So that's okay. I will discuss first. So the Vernier caliper used to measure internal as well as the external or the length of a workpiece, which it is usually used to measure the internal or external diameter, but it has also functions to measure a length of a workpiece, which it is also a depth measurement that will measure the depth of a workpiece. So we have different Vernier caliper nowadays. We have a digital as well as the manual or the metric, which now we'll focus more on the manual so you can easily or so you can understand what is truly the Vernier caliper before we'll proceed on the next meeting to the digital Vernier caliper. So in the digital Vernier caliper, we have different also a Vernier caliper it uses. So later on, I will discuss that next meeting. But for today, we'll focus on the manual Vernier caliper, which it has different reading system, which it has a inches, centimeter, or millimeter. But now, we'll focus on the millimeter as well as the centimeter. So the Vernier caliper has different parts, which mainly there are very two important parts, which is the upper and the lower jaw, which in the upper jaw it is a one movable and one fixed jaw. Then the next is the lower jaw. It is also a movable and a fixed jaw, which in the upper jaw it used in internal diameter measurements, while in the lower jaw it's used for the outside diameter, which also there are different parts, which is second is the depth rod or the depth bar, which it also used to measure the depth of a workpiece. Then the lock screw is the next, which it locks the movable jaw to have a fixed measurement or the fixed length of a workpiece so we can easily measure the measurement of a workpiece. Second is the fourth is the thumb screw, which it helps us to move freely the movable jaw by our fingers, which especially this thumbnail. So the next is the main scale. So I have discussed to you that we have different main scale which used for the measurement. Then next, burner scale, which it moves also from moving with the use of our thumb screw. Then the Vernier caliper has different what do you call this readings, which will focus more on the mm and 1/10 measurements. We will discuss other topics, which is 0.5 mm or 1/20, which we'll discuss this next meeting. But for now, we'll pay more attention on discussing this or will pay more attention on this lesson is 1 by 10 mm measurements. So there are different measurements that we can use this Vernier caliper, especially in internal diameter, which there are limited tools that will measure the internal diameter of a workpiece, especially in our laboratory. It is very helpful as well as very what you call this it gives you a precise measurements of a workpiece which is very small. So the Vernier caliper has a Vernier scale, which it is has a number of 1 until into 10, which in our lesson for today I would use the mm, which is in the Vernier caliper the equivalent 1 mark, just like in the presentations, is 0.1 mm, while in the main scale we'll use the other mark is 0.1 mm, and in the 1 cm, which is also a 10 mm measurements. So before we'll use this Vernier caliper, we need to check first if it is a gives us a precise measurement, which we need to check first the zero, which needs in order to identify if the Vernier caliper is giving us a precise measurement or not. So we'll check first. In order to check first the precise measurement of the Vernier caliper, need to do this. In the presentations that I will show to you is you need to identify that the Vernier caliper and the main scales, the zero is straight, has a straight line, which it described that the Vernier caliper give us a precise measurement. So I have presentations here that will have an external or as well as the internal measurements as well as the depth, but first we'll have the external measuring. With the use of our presentation, it will come for an easy discussions. So it has here a workpiece of sphere. With the use of our Vernier caliper, we will measure its external diameter, which the main scale here has a measurement of 2.1 cm, and it is equivalent to 21 mm, while in the Vernier caliper it has a 0.7 mm or 0.07 centimeter, which is the equivalent measurements of that is 21.7 mm. So how we'll need to identify the point in the Vernier caliper? So as you observe that in the presentations that I have shown to you is the Vernier scale and the main scale of the Vernier caliper. We need to find where is that a line from Vernier caliper as well as the main scales that have a straight line and also join each of their line, which that point or that line will identify what point do you have. So we'll next proceed. It is okay, guys? Do you understand our lessons, or do you still coping up with our lessons? Any questions do you have? Oh, that's good. So now we'll proceed to our lessons. So the internal diameter is also the same with the external diameter in measuring or in a system of reading, which is the difference is we measure the internal diameter, especially in the bearing we use that, or bearing housing we use that measuring tool, as well as in the beaker. We can use this. For example, in my presentation, we'll use a beaker, which we need to identify its internal diameter. So in the presentations, we have a measurement of 3.5 cm in the main scale, or 35 mm in a millimeter. So in the Vernier caliper, we have a 0.02 in centimeter, but we have a 0.2 in a millimeter. So you will add that into a cm, also in a millimeter. So 3.5 plus 0.02 cm is equals to anyone. So that's good. You're right, Mr. Cristobal. It is 3.52 centimeter. So we'll convert this into mm, which is a 35.2 mm. That is how to measure the internal diameter, which we have some example here in my presentations that I will show to you. And later on, by the way, later on we'll have a small activities for you guys. So next is the depth measurement. We'll measure the depth of a workpiece. So I will have an example for you guys, is the depth of a beaker, which it has a measurement of 5.4 centimeter in a centimeter reading, which we have in a Vernier scale, we have a 0.08 centimeter. Unlike in the main scale, we have 5.4 centimeter. So the equivalent measurement of this is 5.48 centimeter, or if we will convert this into millimeter, it is 54.8 millimeter. So I have here also another example for you guys, which is the cylinder. We'll measure its external diameter, or its diameter. So the main scale of this cylinder is 2.3 centimeter, or 23 millimeter, while its Vernier scale, it has a measurement of 0.07 centimeter, or 0.7 millimeter. So if you will add this, we'll have an answer of 2.37 centimeter, or 23.7 millimeter. I have some also here example for you guys in our presentations, which we have 11 mm, and we have in our main scale, and we have 0.7 mm in our Vernier scale, which we will add this, will come up to an answer of 11.7 mm. Then in other part also, we have some example here. I will give you many examples for you guys to understand what is our measurement, or how we will measure with the use of the Vernier caliper in terms of millimeter and centimeter readings. So I have here a 21 mm in a main scale, while we have 0.3 mm in a Vernier scale, which we come up into an answer of 21.3 mm, or if we will convert it into centimeter, which is we'll have an answer of 2.13 centimeter. So do you understand our lesson, guys? Yeah, that's good. So I hope everyone understands and listen or pay attention in my discussion. Also, I want to share my experience as well as my knowledge to you guys, especially in our field. So now our discussions end here, but before I will make you go, I will have first small activities for you to solve, which I have here in our presentations, and you have 10 minutes to solve this, which we have problems. So it is very easy for you guys. I hope that you'll get this 100%. It is very easy. You may answer now. Okay, so our time ends here. So can you pass up your paper forward? That's all guys. You may now go. Thank you.